What's up, guys? Got another pair of boots here. This is from Caswell. It's the Garrett boot. It's from their hand welted line. Their hand welted line are basically just kind of MTO boots that Kevin from Caswell has someone in Indonesia make, and they're pretty handmade. Like they do almost everything by hand. Um, so so that's pretty cool. This is on the Porter last. That's what that looks like. It's the Garrett boot. You can get a Garrett like with a toe cap. I just elected to have it as a plain toe. I got it with the antique brass all eyelets. These are the large ones. You can get a smaller diameter one too if you wanted. Uh, it's an unstructured toe. Love that. Uh, love me a soft toe. It's got a block heel. I got the dark brown edge finish, and it's a 430 Vibram sole that I had with it, and you can see the stitching looks fantastic here. Still, um, grooving the sole makes such a difference when the stitching is sitting down in that groove. Like you can see all the stitching is still intact even after wearing it for 5 months straight, in all sorts of conditions. Yeah, I wish more like mass produced makers would kind of implement that into it because it makes such a huge difference for the stitching. Um, and it's got the wheat, I think was the color. It's the horse front lining. It's a nice lining, not like your typical like super soft, almost glove leather feeling lining. It's pretty hard, little on the stiffer side. Kind of gives the quarters a little bit of structure there. Yeah, I really like that lining. Uh, it wears really nice. I don't know if you can really see it there, but yeah. Um, so the Garrett's actually a little taller than 6 inches. Um, Here it is next to an actual 6 inch boot. You line up the midsoles there. See it. So you can see it's just slightly taller there. Um, and this is after I've worn it for a little bit, so it's probably slouched down a little bit. But I think it was close to 7 inches. It's probably like 6 and 3/4 or something. So yeah, a little bit slightly taller than your typical 6 inch boot. We can weigh them here really quick. So around 1 pound 14 ounces. So not like a super heavy boot or anything. Uh, yeah, kind of a little on the lighter side. That's what they look like. I think that's it's I got it in Veltshon construction. You can see it, so it's got a double row stitching there. Um, so Veltshon on this, it's actually the turned out vamp, the welt, and then the midsole, like something on a whites or something, which is kind of what I think about when I look at this. Whites actually does the welt on top and then the turned out vamp and then the midsole. So yeah, a little different. Like this is a first for me. I don't really know how that would make it any different from any other type of welted boot, like as far as use goes. But I wore it through the winter, going through snow, slush, and puddles and stuff like that, and it worked fine. I don't know if it's any better or worse than any other type of construction, really. Um, it seemed pretty fine to me. But yeah, it looks really nice. That's for sure. So the leather is actually from Galoon Tannery. It's burgundy T-core Viking calf. That's what it looks like. Just a really, really pretty leather. Um, I hear calf and I'm thinking it's gonna be like super delicate, but it's not that at all. Like I said, I wore it through the winter. Like I would get them dirty and stuff like that. I wasn't going out of my way to like beat them up or anything like that. Um, but yeah, the leather is really hardy. I would get them covered in dirt and mud and stuff, and I would just wipe them off and hit them with a brush, and the leather just comes right back. Like I don't. It kind of feels like there's some kind of hard wax finish just because of how smooth and shiny it can be sometimes. And that would make sense because like the leather wouldn't really absorb water. Uh, just wearing them through the winter, so that's nice. But yeah, the leather is like not super durable. I wouldn't say that, but it's not like super delicate like you would kind of expect from a calf. It's not that at all, and it's just really interesting looking. I I don't know if it can really pick it up here, but just the visual interest that the leather actually has. There's like dark streaks in it and stuff like that. It just looks really pretty. I really like it. Um, it's been fantastic for the time I've been wearing it too. A little not super soft or anything. The Viking calf is combination tan, but it feels really what I think of like veg tan. Like that kind of drier, a little on the stiffer side feel to it. It acts very veg like, I think. Just a fantastic leather. I would definitely get another boot in this Viking calf. I think it's fantastic. I wish it was a little thicker. I don't know how thick they can actually run it with it being calf and stuff, but it would be nice if they can get like some thicker stuff. Um, see the leather that they use. I don't know if you can see it there, but it isn't the thickest stuff in the world. But I mean, it's fine for doing what I do in it. So the Porter Last. I'm a 12D Brannick. This is 12D. The Porter, it just doesn't fit my foot. Like, not bad. But it doesn't like have the fit that I kind of prefer in this size. So the Porter kind of seems like it runs pretty wide, but short also. So like my toe comes to like it ends somewhere around, maybe you can see the impression, but somewhere around there. Like so there's not enough room in front of my toe. And it's also too wide for me. So like there's a little wiggle room side to side at the ball, which I'm not a fan of. And it's kind of voluminous in the back half for me. So I don't know if you can make it out there, but I cut a half sock liner and put it in there just to try to take up some volume. Um, so I didn't really do like the super outdoorsy stuff I would normally do in a pair of boots, like going on long hikes or like camping or backpacking or stuff like that. I didn't really do that in this just because the fit wasn't there for me. Um, it was it's a little too short, so walking downhill, and it's a little wide for me at a D width. So like my foot would move around and walking downhill, my foot would slide forward and I'd smash my toes up against the end of the boot. So that's not super comfortable. So I didn't do stuff like that, like no hikes or anything. Like I would walk anywhere where that was just flat and level basically. Um, but yeah, which is a shame because I think the Porter Last, like the toe shape, I really like the shape of it, but it just doesn't work for my foot all that well. Little too voluminous, little too short, little too wide for me. But like if you got, maybe you're on the cusp of D and E with like a higher volume foot with really short toes or something, You might want to check this out. But Caswell does. You can get a try-on boot from them. I would really recommend that if you were looking at this, like getting a boot on the Porter Last, just to try it out. So they do offer that service if you wanted to take advantage of it. Um, you can see here's the toe shape compared to the Morris Last from Caswell. This is actually 11.5D, and this is 12D. You can see that the Porter is just a little wider. I don't know, but my foot, the Morris Last in 11.5D fits me better than the Porter in 12D, which is a shame because I really like the round toe of the Porter. I think it just looks really nice. But yeah. Um, yeah, and that's pretty much what I wanted to talk about for the boots. Wearing them, they were really nice. I'm really interested about this Velt show in construction, just because I haven't seen that personally before, like in person. So I'm gonna take one of these apart and we can see what's going on in there. So I'll do that and come back. All right, so I got it all taken apart. We'll just go over it really quick. Just taking the thing apart, I kind of noticed that it was a lot easier to pull everything apart than some of the other boots that I've taken apart, like those Trumans and even Allen Edmonds. Uh, Bottom 430 sole. I really like this groove. I can't say that enough. I wish a lot more companies would do that. Groove the soles for the stitching to sit in. Pretty great. The heel. So it's got the leather lift. These ridge nails. They don't go all the way up into the boot. Just kind of, I don't know, stop into the midsole, maybe. Probably. But yeah, that's them. Leather lift. That's nice. And then you got a Rand here, and they they nailed the hell out of this. Like all the clinch nails that go up into the boot, and you can see like some of them, or they didn't straighten out how they clinched over like that. Yeah, the Rand there. Uh, we got the midsole. They even channeled the midsole so that that first that inner row of stitching that just goes through the midsole. So it's it like this ish. Yeah, like that. They even channeled that. That's kind of nice little extra touch there, so you can see how the stitching is kind of protected down in there too. I think that's kind of cool, little extra touch. Oh, I will say that getting cutting these stitches and pulling the sole off was just super easy. These are the outsole stitch is done by hand, like it's not done by a machine. And like the thread that they use, a lot different from like the machine sewn stuff that I've experienced. Like it doesn't feel. I don't know if it was at one point or if it just wore off, but it doesn't feel like it has that wax or something like you would see on other boots. I never didn't even try this. Kinda. So, but yeah, um, like the machine sewn boots, I noticed when you like the tension is just so much greater on that machine sewn stuff. So, like say on that Truman, when I was cutting the stitches to get the outsole off, like there was so much tension on those things. You just touch the blade to it and they kind of pop. And this didn't do that at all. Like you had to actually cut the thread, um, and pulling the sole off on like those machine sewn ones on the other ones that I've taken apart. Like I could feel when I was pulling the sole off, I could feel like the friction that the thread was still given, even though it was cut. And this, with this, it wasn't like that at all. I think it's because these either aren't waxed or aren't waxed as much, but they feel pretty dry. Like it doesn't feel like it's waxed at all. Yeah, and just I guess being done by hand, they can't put the tension that say like a machine does, and the threads don't have like a bunch of friction like in the other ones I've taken apart. So I think this might is cool and all, but I think it's kind of a must really to to groove these when they hand sew it like that, just because uh this this thread and how they sewed it didn't give anywhere near the tension, the grip on the sole still, even after the threads on the bottom were gone. Like, when you don't on those, like say on PNW boots, where they don't groove it and it's just a pure proud, and you wear those stitches off in, I don't know, a week or two, uh, those are still gripping. They're still adding something. And I think if this wasn't grooved, like you'd wear those stitches away and all that stitch going through here probably isn't doing much of anything. So that's probably a must. Still pretty nice. Like I wore this and all the stitches were intact pretty much. So that's that. So this this cork filler that they use, it looks more like a powder. Like it's the finest cut cork I've seen yet. Pretty dry. Uh, you can see it doesn't really chunk off or anything like that. Yeah, just that's what the cork filler looks like. Um, had this I think it's leather. I don't even know. Like it almost looks like is it like fiberglass insulation or something? It's like so fibery and kind of airy and foamy. It was a cover for the metal shank. Where's that at? And here's the shank. Not the most you see, like it's not the most rigid and strongest thing out there. But yeah, that's the metal shank. Um, Here's the insole. See, like started cracking in there. Um, it looks kind of gross. Yeah, you can see where the cover was sitting, and then where the shank was sitting. More of that dried ass cork. You can see how they carved the hold fast there. Uh, it's kind of dished in, so it probably looks thicker than it actually is, but pretty decently thick insole. I mean, it kind of has to be if you're gonna make a hold fast and all that instead of using gemming. But I mean, I was kind of wondering if they actually did a hold fast or if they used gemming and then just sewed it by hand. But they use a hold fast. They actually carve it into the insole there, so that's nice. I like to see that. I love stuff like that. Uh, here's the here's the welt. I think I tore it in a couple places getting it off. Oh, that's one thing. Like this stuff looks cool, and I'm sure all together it looks really nice. But with how thin this stuff was, and me being me, like a ham-fisted, angry chimpanzee going at this thing, like I ripped the I ripped the turned out section of that just because it was so thin, and I'm just bad at this, I guess. Yeah, rip that. That kind of sucks. Um, rip the welt some. Again, I'm sure someone that was better at this, that wouldn't be a problem. But like if I was actually a cobbler, I would be kind of worried about doing stuff with this because I would probably end up doing that to it just because like it is thinner stuff. Um, and that's another thing. Like I don't know where they get their like say midsoles and insoles and stuff like that. Um, it definitely feels, and like cutting it and stuff like that, it feels different than the stuff that I've done. So I don't think they get the stuff from the same tanneries or the same suppliers that the US guys do. I mean, which would kind of make sense. I wouldn't really expect them to. But it definitely feels different. Like if it's better or worse, I have no idea. It did seem easier to cut though. Um yeah, the welt. not like the thickest thing, and I don't think it has to be since it's Velcro and stuff. Like it's the welt and the vamp leather there, so that's whatever. What else was there? Oh, here's the heel counter. This thing is like super thin. It does kind of look like a leather, like the feel of it is just really weird. Not nearly as beefy as say like if you watch that one with the Truman that I did, where I took it out and showed you the heel counter. It isn't anywhere near as thick as that. And you can see that like I can do that. Uh, there's no possible way I'd be able to do that with the Truman one. But yeah, kind of thin. Uh, I'm sure that makes it easier to work with. I didn't have a problem with it, like wearing it, and when it's in the boot, like you can squish it some, but it's not anywhere as squishy as like say Celastic or those thermoplastic ones. But yeah, I think I'd prefer a little thicker one. I only wore this for like 5 months, so it's not like I can tell you that this is total garbage and it's gonna flop around. But I don't know, getting it wet and it being this thin, I'd be kind of interested to see how that would hold up if it would stay rigid. Um, what else was there? Oh, here's a sock liner. Has like this kind of chintzy foam under there. Uh, Wearing it with the like foam, I guess it stops you from feeling the nails. I guess. I mean, I never really had a problem with just leather sock liners and feeling nails, but yeah, that's it. This is the half sock liner that I cut to kind of take up some volume. I just I was lazy and I didn't even rip this out. I just glued it straight over it. Stayed in place. I used barge contact cement, but yeah, it's just a random scrap piece of leather that I had sitting around, and I cut it and skived the end. Um, and I think that's the inside. There's like the pocket. I guess we can see how thick this is actually, because after getting everything apart, it seemed really thin. Which I don't know, you kind of expect from like a calf leather. They didn't have time to grow, so their skin wouldn't be all that thick. Yeah, so around 1.2 there. Yeah, somewhere around 1.2 millimeters. So I wonder if the tongue is just what the leather was. They didn't actually split it down. Yeah, so around 1.3 for the tongue. So it's probably just the same stuff. They didn't actually split it down. So yeah, this is pretty thin, and it's calf. So yeah, there's that. The horsehide lining. You can see here where I was telling you how it ran short. This is from I actually kind of wore it where my toe kept hitting the end of the boot. Because it sits like that, and you can kind of see where my toe would end up there. So yeah, every time I went down like even kind of a little slope, I would my toe would the end of my toe would kind of rub into that. You can see how it wore there. That's the rest of the lining. I like the lining though. Like it's actually pretty pliable. Uh, Kind of a thin horse. I think if I said that already, I think the lining was from Galoon also. Uh, and yeah, and there was no toe structure, so it's an unstructured toe. But yeah, so that's the inside of the boot. So it's kind of what you can expect from whoever, whatever Indonesian partner that they used to build it. I'm guessing Jackrabbits. That may not be the case. Not super sure, but yeah, and it'll be interesting to see. Like, I have a pair of cigars that don't fit. Um, I was thinking about selling them, but I would take such a haircut on it that I'm thinking probably not worth my time to do. So I'll probably just take that apart and see if it's pretty much just like this. I'm kind of guessing that it is. I'm sure they get most of the stuff that they use for the inside of the boots from the same suppliers. But I guess we'll see. Um, I don't know when I'll get around to doing that, but yeah, sometime soon. Um, no, but as far as the boots, I like the boots. Um, it isn't like my perfect ideal boot, uh, but I enjoyed wearing them, and I would definitely buy more Caswells, and I still do. Like their hand welted stuff. Uh, yeah, just kind of sucks that the last doesn't really work out for my foot. Um, but other than that, yeah, just the boots were great. They held up for what I was doing, like wearing them in the winter over 5 months. They held up over 5 months. Like I could probably get a pair of flip flops and they would hold up over 5 months also. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.